Welcome to Inside the Yum podcast with your host, Peyton Burton. Inside the Yum is a show that covers all things Louisville basketball, both men's and women's. Now, here's your host, Peyton Burton.
What is going on, guys? Welcome to another edition of the Inside the Yum podcast. My name is Peyton Burton, and today, I know I've said it for the past two episodes, but it's kind of hard not to say it again. It's kind of becoming my catchphrase at the intro of these shows, but damn, I'm going to keep on doing it so I can't do it no longer. This is another big show for you because there's a lot to discuss, a lot to talk about. We're going to try this again. Episode 2, we tried to do it. We recorded a whole show, a whole segment of a show. Turns out that I'm a dumbass and didn't hit the record button. So I'll take the blame on that one. That's my fault. That's on me. However, I got the host of the Everything College Basketball podcast, my brother, who is a Kentucky fan, Josh Burton, with me right now, and Corey Gardner, who's a part of the Everything College Basketball podcast. He will be joining us here a little bit as well. He's currently on the road right now, so we'll just wait for him. And once he gets done driving, he's going to hop on the show and discuss all the topics that we got in hand for tonight's show. But however, Josh is here with me, live and live in color. Josh, what's going on?
Not a whole lot, man. Actually feels kind of nice out here in Indiana tonight after all the crazy weather we've had. You know, springtime, tornadoes, bad weather. So I'm enjoying a comfortable evening outside recording with you instead of being where I normally record at.
Well, I'll tell you what, I'm glad that you're comfortable right now because earlier I felt like it's rained every single day this week. It might not have. There might have been one day where it didn't rain, but I'm pretty sure, at least it felt like it to me, that it's rained every damn day of this week.
Well, hell, I'll take that, though, over 90 degrees. The older I'm getting, I can't do the heat no more.
Yeah, well, this rain, it's making me sleepy. It's starting to mess with my sleep schedule, and I can't be having that because tomorrow's a big day for me. Nike URBLs tomorrow. I got to go watch, or not go, as I'm not going, but I'm going to watch DJ Wagner play on because they're doing a live stream. And then my team, Real Madrid, taking on Liverpool, UCL, the Champions League final. Mo Salah wants revenge. I'm telling him right now, he ain't getting revenge. He's getting his ass whooped tomorrow. So a little spoiler there. However, this isn't a Madrid podcast. This isn't a soccer podcast. We are here to talk about Louisville basketball, and there's a lot to discuss. First topic on hand. The biggest topic, the biggest news story of this whole week. Milt Wagner has been officially hired as quote unquote the new director of player development / alumni relations. By the way, I know what player development means. I've never heard of the job title alumni relations, especially because it's a hybrid role between those two. So I know like a lot of people, especially Kentucky fans, are like, oh, they gave him a made up job. And I think it's pretty funny because I've never heard of that as well. But
I think every major school, maybe all schools have it. It's just kind of like a former athlete of sorts that is part either by themselves solo or part of some kind of committee that essentially keeps that alumni base happy and involved with the school, because obviously the last thing you want is some of your alumni, especially higher profile alumni, to feel like they've been pushed aside or fall out of grace, whether it be them donating money to the universities or just the general lack of support behind the school in which they attended. So I think all schools have that, but I know you're going to get to it, so I'll save kind of why I think that they added that to the title, because I don't think that title itself is newsworthy, but it is in this case, and I'll save why. But I think at least as far as my knowledge goes, just about every major university has that role.
Yeah. Well, I checked. Because I went and looked up Kentucky's role, and I didn't see anything about alumni relations, but I know they have a director of basketball or a director of player development. So
Well,
that role
everybody's
definitely, yeah, that role definitely exists, and it's in every program and every school. But I know to be in the hybrid role, they kind of got people talking about, is this a real job title? However, it don't matter because the university hired him as this role. This has nothing to do with our athletics department whatsoever, which is going to come into a huge factor because Milt Wagner is a former Louisville champion. He was on the 1986 national championship squad with Kenny Payne, the head coach of Louisville. They've known each other for a very, very, very long time. Like I said, they was teammates on that 86 title run or title victory in 1986. But obviously, this is the big topic now. He got hired on, what was it, Tuesday this week?
yeah.
Yeah, it was Tuesday. He got officially hired. At one point, he was rumored to be the third final assistant for Kenny Payne's staff. At one point, we thought it would be him, Joel Justice from Arizona State, Mike Miniga from Oregon, but ultimately we went with Josh Jameson from Oregon. So he didn't get a coaching role. However, with this role, if nobody knows who he is the granddad of none other. I don't give a damn about rankings. Rankings really don't mean anything. To me, he's the number one player in the nation, or number one player in the 2023 class by far. Gigi Jackson is a phenomenal player, but there's no chance in hell, no way in hell that he should be above DJ Wagner in any type of rankings when it comes to high school recruiting. And that's not just me being biased because we'll talk about the Louisville and Kentucky and Louisville being the new favorite. This has nothing to do with that. If you just watch this kid play, I don't think there's a better high school player in the country than DJ Wagner. And he's going to prove that this weekend. However, it's not about that right now. He is a great, obviously, DJ Wagner. That's their relation. So it got brought up by Louisville fans, or by a lot of people. What does this hire mean for Louisville? That's the first question I have on hand about this. What does this Milt Wagner hire mean for Louisville? It means a lot. And obviously, people's going to go towards the DJ Wagner. We'll talk about that here very, very quickly. Trust me. But firstly, let's not forget, like I already mentioned, he's a Louisville alum. He's a Louisville legend. He won the national championship in 1986 for this Louisville team with Kenny Payne. He was a part of the LA Lakers in 1980, 81, around early 80s, and he won a championship with the Lakers. One of the historic one of the historic franchises in all of sports, Los Angeles Lakers. So he is a Louisville legend, and he is back home where he belongs. So that itself means a lot to Louisville fans around the world, but especially in the city of Louisville. But let's talk about what this really means. Let's talk about DJ Wagner. What does this mean? What does this hire mean for the recruitment of DJ Wagner? I don't think there's a question, Josh, you're going to talk about it because you're a Kentucky fan. I'm obviously a Louisville fan. The favorite to get DJ Wagner has got to be the University of Louisville.
No, I wouldn't say got to be. No.
How can it not? How can it not?
Hold on. No. It
Yes.
got to be. Come on now. Got to be. You're going to look real silly if he goes to Kentucky or somewhere else. Not got to be.
Hold
on. I'm the guest. Let me speak. It puts them in prime position. Are they the favorite? Yes, they're the favorite now. But it does not mean anything. And if Phil was here, Phil's been talking in our group chat back and forth. You can't count out Calipari. You can't count out the family aspect as well with DJ's dad playing for Cal and endorsing him so long. And Kentucky's been the favorite for so long. Louisville is the favorite now. Exactly. A couple weeks ago, the crystal ball prediction from Travis Branham was put in, and that kind of got the ball rolling towards them being the favorite. I think this solidifies the favorite. But what I'm trying to tell you, though, is got to be is a lock. This is not a lock. This is a fight down to the wire. So I caution you to be overexcited to the point where it's not a lock. Like, don't fool your fan base. It's not a lock. It's going to go down the wire. Do I think now that Louisville gets him? I do think that, but it's not a lock. That's the difference. If you think Calipari and Kentucky is going to go away from this, and this is not going to be a fight down to the end, then I've got a bridge in Edinburgh to sell you.
My words were Louisville is the favorite.
You said lock.
I did not. I said he's got to be the favorite. We on the tape. Listen to this when it gets put out. The words lock never came out of my mouth. Trust me, I'm not a fan of Noah Locke, so that words never came out of my mouth, okay? Trust me. I said he is the favorite to get DJ Wagner right now is the University of Louisville, and it has to be the University of Louisville with this hire. Because let's talk about it. Before Milt Wagner even got hired for Louisville, Travis Branham put that prediction in as soon as Nolan Smith got hired. Pretty much a day after Nolan Smith got hired, he put that prediction in. Whenever it was. I'm trying to look it up right now when he exactly put that prediction up.
It was sometime last month.
It was pretty recent. However, it's not just like, and I think a lot of Kentucky fans are starting to get this a little bit confused, because it's not like I've seen a lot. I'm not saying you, because I know you haven't, you're smarter than this, but I've seen a lot of the Kentucky fan base who are basically thinking what we're doing now, hiring Milt Wagner, is a shady move on our part.
No. Let me dispel that. It's not. We've seen it.
Yeah,
you and I. There's been multiple examples throughout the history. I mean, the most recent one, I think the big one was the Cade Cunningham situation. Oklahoma State hired his brother in. So that's just 2 years ago now. So it's not that big a deal. And what I was going to get to, what I mentioned just a little bit ago that I said I'd save, I'll go ahead and say it now. What I seen it from Mike Rutherford, and it clarified, and it makes a lot of sense. NCAA rules state that you cannot be a part of a staff or part of like the athletic department or anything like that and be able to recruit a family member. That is in violation. But with them adding, the reason that they added that it's a hybrid role, the reason it sounds so like made up, which it's not, but it does sound made up because they included it into the introductory, like the press release, that he is the director of player development / alumni deal. Adding that alumni deal clears them to recruit DJ. Had they not added that, that hybrid role, and he was just player development, it takes you immediately out of the running for DJ Wagner. You can't do it.
And that's why I brought up that it's a university, a university hire, not the athletics hire. Because like you said, if he was hired for the athletic department, we wouldn't be able to recruit, we wouldn't be able to get involved with DJ Wagner. And all this hype just goes away just like that off of one hire. But that's why the university was smart about it, and they gave him this role of being in the university, not an athletic hire. That way we can still be involved with getting DJ Wagner. It's a smart, calculated move on our university's part to do that. But to talk about what I was talking about with Kentucky fans thinking that this is shady, people need to do the research. And I'm not going to say me personally, because I at the time, I didn't know this either. Then again, I was only like 2 years old when this happened anyway, so why would I know? But 20-some years ago, when Coach Cal was coaching Memphis, who did he hire to get DeJuan Wagner?
Yeah.
He hired Milt Wagner to get DJ Wagner. Oh, not DJ Wagner, DeJuan Wagner, excuse me. So he legit did what we did. What we're doing now, he did it about 22, 23 years ago. And I don't have a problem with it, because I think it's a smart move. But the difference is, like I already mentioned, and the reason it's not shady is because it's not like we just hired Milt Wagner for shits and giggles. Obviously, we hired him because it's a good chance that he's going to come to Louisville. Where you think it's 100% certain or 100% lock, or if you think it's going to be a battle to the end, or you think it's all over.
I think it's 60. I think it's not quite 50-50 anymore. The pendulum's definitely swung to Louisville, but it's not that far out either. Again, if you're counting Cal and Kentucky out, then you're absolutely insane. And I'm not saying you, I'm not directing that at you.
Yeah,
I'm just
obviously.
saying in the broader scope. I would say it's 60% Louisville, 40% Kentucky, but you're going to see down to the wire.
Yeah, and what I was saying, it's not like we just hired him just to get DJ Wagner. Obviously, that's a big part of it. But like I said, he's a Louisville legend. You know, he's going to be there for a long time. Kenny Payne, in his press conference when he got hired, or Kenny Payne did his introductory press conference about him coming back. They called each other brothers. He said, I can't wait to get to work with my brother, Kenny Payne. So they're obviously best friends. They've known each other for a very, very, very long time. And now they're finally on a staff together in some shape or form. But it's not like we just hired him just to get DJ Wagner. So let's not get that confused. Obviously, it's a big part, but that's not the whole 100% reason.
Let's
Go ahead.
hope, and I'll let you move on. I apologize, but let's hope it'll be telling, and I don't think this happened because he is an alum and loves the university. However, it would be hilarious if he does go the Cade's brother route, where after 1 year, say you get DJ and he does come, and then after the 1 year, Milt decides, I'm going to resign now. That would be a kind of funny too, because then it would raise the again, not illegal, nothing's illegal about it, but it'd raise the speculation of like, okay, I see what you did there.
Yeah, I mean, I can definitely see the correlations between the two. But moving on, just a little, staying on the topic at hand with recruitment, but kind of talking about DJ Wagner and staying on that topic. You kind of already mentioned that this is going to be a dogfight to the end. Which, by the way, this is I'm not going to say greatest, because I'm sure there's been a lot of great or really good recruiting battles between two schools. But Louisville and Kentucky battling out for the number one prospect. In my knowledge, in my eyes, this is the biggest recruiting battle in the state of Kentucky and probably college basketball, especially this year, obviously. Maybe of all time. People have to remind me and maybe check me on that, because, like I said, I'm not sure about that. But when you're talking about two head-to-head rivals just going at each other, we're not playing checkers. We're playing chess over here. Like, it's one move after the other.
In recent times, yes. Maybe not all time. I mean, that's covered a lot of ground. But
I might be stretching that.
Think about the Zion recruitment. We'll put it this way. I don't think we've seen a crazier recruitment since Zion that I can remember off the top of my head, where you went down to that signing day not knowing who in the hell he's signing with.
Yeah, and then he signed with Duke, who was like his fourth option or his fourth favorite at the time.
Yeah.
But definitely I think in the state of Kentucky, it's the biggest recruitment in a long, long, long time since I've been born. But Travis Branham, the day after Milt Wagner got hired at University of Louisville, he put in a prediction completely out of nowhere, completely out of left field, for 5-star former NC State recruit Robert Dillingham to go to the University of Kentucky.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
I'm not even joking. This was completely out of nowhere, because Louisville, I was hoping he was, if people listened to my last episode when I did my 2023 shortlist, he was on there for a potential candidate, because I was wanting him to come to Louisville to team up with DJ Wagner. I don't think they're going to be teammates at all. At least I wouldn't expect. But what does this exactly mean? Because, like I said, it came out of left field. It kind of surprised me and a lot of people. And of course, it showed, or there's a lot of speculation in the Louisville fan base that and I think Stephen Rummage posted about it, or maybe it was Mike Rutherford posted about it. One of those two posted about it, that it's a smart move on Cal, pretty much acting like Cal is backing off of the DJ Wagner, and just because he knows he's probably not going to get DJ Wagner, so they want to at least lock up Robert Dillingham. I can see small truth to that, but it's also not like he can't get them both like he did with De'Aaron Fox and Malik Monk that 2017, 2016 year.
Yeah, I'm glad.
I think there's a little truth to that, but we'll have to wait and see.
I'm glad you brought that point up, because it is exactly what I was going to say. I do think there is some truth to that, because it does make you wonder. maybe Cal, he's not going to give up on a player like that. If DJ Wagner was, let's say, ranked 20th, still a really good player, 5-star kid. Yeah, he probably would maybe concede a little bit, or
He'd back off a little bit.
But not this kid. Not a kid he's felt he's had locked up for many years now, and has that family connection with his dad, and he's going to fight to the end. And I think what it is that I do think it's one eye to the future. It is a backup plan, because if you lose DJ, well, I mean, shit, you're still getting a really talented player that can run point guard for you, that can do a lot of great stuff. So it's not a bad fallback plan. But like you mentioned, and what I was going to bring up, it's not unlike Cal. He wants all those kids. He don't care if it's the top 5 kids. If he can get them all and they're all point guards, he'll find a way to have them on the team. So that don't mean nothing, but it does mean something, if that makes sense at all. I do think I'm in agreement with some of that thought process. Well, he might be thinking, well, at least if we can get this kid, maybe then it's a nice fallback plan. But if we can have them both, then that's my ideal situation.
And not only that, like, I think wherever DJ Wagner goes, I think his AAU teammate Aaron Bradshaw, the 5-star himself, is going with him.
Completely.
Whether it's at Louisville or it's at Kentucky, I think they're a package duo, because they're teammates in AAU for the New Jersey Scholars. They're really good friends with each other. Obviously, they know each other a lot. So I think wherever DJ Wagner goes, expect a commitment from Aaron Bradshaw.
Completely agree. DJ and Aaron's on Louisville's campus right
now, right? Yes. So, well, not Louisville's campus. They're in Louisville for the Nike URBL. Well, and that's why I was getting mentioned. I was going to kind of just go into that little topic there. This all came out of perfect timing. You want to talk about perfect timing? The Milt Wagner hire on Tuesday, the same week as his grandson, DJ Wagner, is playing in Louisville this weekend, starting tomorrow, Saturday. It'll be their Saturday, Sunday, and Monday.
And he's got a prime matchup that everybody's drilling out with Bronny James.
Yep, tomorrow night at 9 p.m.
It's gonna be so fun, because Cal and his staff's going to be there in full force too, and it's going to be crazy.
It's a shame that Reed Shepherd versus DJ Wagner matchup got canceled.
I know. It's going to be
fun.
I bet DJ Wagner, I'm sure he loves the attention, and he's going to get loved by Louisville fans and Kentucky fans. He's going to get so much love from the red and blue sides this weekend that it's going to probably make it a little harder for him to decide. But I bet there's going to be a part at some point in this kid's weekend, maybe on Sunday, maybe tonight and Saturday will be cool. But Sunday, after a full 48 hours, that kid at some point is going to probably be like, can I just go to the hotel room? Like Coach Cal and Kenny Payne and Nolan Smith and Chin Coleman and all of them, they won't leave me the fuck alone. Like, they won't leave me alone.
Honestly, it'll probably be like the Nike URBL we went to 4 years ago, where the whole gym was shut down, or the whole court was shut down when we seen Bonnie James funny against Armani Bates that year.
Yeah. Yep.
The whole court, like, as soon as those two, because it's a late night game, I think it's like 9 p.m. So sure to God, that's probably the last game of the night, for the first day tomorrow night. So I'd imagine the whole gym would be shut down for that.
And the funny thing is, as this weekend, that while they're competing head to head for DJ Wagner and Aaron Bradshaw and amongst other recruits there, that KP and Cal have already said, and the love between those two. I guarantee you that the Louisville and Kentucky staffs take each other out to dinner on different nights.
Oh my God.
It happens. I guarantee you, if you go to a big time, like Jeff Ruby's or one of those big steakhouses there in Louisville or on the outskirts of Louisville, you'll see those staffs laughing and chopping it up, and it would be like one super staff together, but they're competing head to head. And this is crazy about this rivalry. What's so fun. And and our other cohort and co-hosts from Everything College Basketball, Phil, threw a cool little thing out. You want to really ramp this up? What if Coach Cal, because he's still got one final assistant spot that opened up, what if he hires DJ's dad, DeJuan, to be like player development? Then oh my God, what would DJ do then? Would he go with the granddad into Louisville, or would he go with his dad and one of the people who his dad feels like was another dad to him at Kentucky? Dude, crazy.
He might have to do what you said. Just go to Murray State. Say fuck them both.
I'm going to Murray.
I can't. I'm done with this shit.
Yeah.
I'm probably going to be there for 1 year anyways. But yeah, that we're gonna, before we go into, because we talked about this DJ Wagner stuff, we talked about Dillingham, Milt Wagner, all this stuff. Real quick, we're gonna go into a little break here. Just a little refresh our voices, get a little drink to water, and we're gonna move on to talk about the next topic. Hopefully, we can get Corey on to talk about this, because there's a lot of stuff I want to talk about, kind of make fun of him about, kind of trash talk about him as well. So we're gonna go into a quick little break. We'll be right back just a moment.
L1C4 B-Sim. You know I had to do a remix, right? Put anybody in front of us, we guarantee to win. Look you dead in your eye, I'm coming for the ring. You don't want no part of us, you ain't got enough heart. Better throw your hand in, cause you don't want these cars. 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 You don't want these cars.
Welcome back to the show. We are here today to talk about Louisville basketball scheduling. Topic one, we talked about a lot of DJ Wagner, Milt Wagner, Robert Dillingham, a lot of recruiting stuff. Now it's time to talk about scheduling. And if we're going to talk about scheduling, we got to do it right. We got to start with the greatest rivalry in college basketball history. Then, now, and forever will always be the Bluegrass rivalry of Louisville versus Kentucky. It didn't get played last year. It's going to get played this upcoming year. New Year's Eve, Rupp Arena, Louisville versus Kentucky, the House of Pain versus Coach Cal and the crew. We got the rivalry back. Josh, I hate that it's on New Year's Eve, but I'm glad it's back on Saturdays.
Yeah, for one, definitely glad it's back on Saturday. This last season, I guess I should say, when it was going to be on Wednesday was completely stupid. Completely. But man, I don't know. It's been played on New Year's Eve before. The most memorable one that stands out to me is the 2011 game when Josh Harrelson emerged. Jorts absolutely torched the Yum Center and kind of put his name out there. But I mean, who schedules this game? And again, I know this is the time of year that they play it historically, and you got to put it in somewhere. So I'm not going to complain too much, but what kind of moron schedules this head-to-head with college football playoffs?
Yeah, they've done this in recent years. The most recent I can remember is the year that LSU won the national championship in 2019. It's also the Tyrese Maxey year, the game that went overtime, Louisville versus Kentucky in Rupp Arena. That game was played the day of the college football playoff. Literally, I think as soon as Oklahoma versus LSU was getting a kickoff. Literally, that game ended and then the game kicked off, or maybe it would already been a halftime at that point.
Well, the game that you and I went to the year before that in the Yum Center.
Yeah.
Notre Dame and Alabama were getting ready to play. Or sorry, not Notre Dame, Alabama. It was Notre Dame and Georgia or Oklahoma. I forget which one it was, but they were getting ready to play. Maybe it was Notre Dame, Alabama as well. But
I think it was.
Nonetheless, because fans were flying out of the arena, had it on their phones.
Yeah. So the scheduling conflict there, I know it's always towards the end of the month of December, but I don't like it's on New Year's Eve. But I mean, I'll take it being on Saturdays than being on a random Wednesday that nobody gives a shit about. But joining us, we got Corey Gardner on the show. He missed the first topic, but he came out just in time because we're going to talk about the potential matchup. I don't know when it's going to happen. Don't care. Because Louisville versus Indiana is rumored to start playing within. Our athletic director said they promise we're going to play within the next couple of years. Whether it's next year or the year after that, I'm actually not 100% sure yet. We'll have to find out and see. But Mike Woodson and Kenny Payne are trying to play each other very, very soon. And I I can't wait because I think that's a game that everybody would love to see, especially me. I know Corey wants to see it. So, Corey, Louisville versus Indiana, what you think about it?
Yeah, no, with the additions that Mike Woodson's bringing in, with Kenny Payne taking over down in Louisville, both schools, have a rich history of talent, a lot of winning traditions. So the possibility of kind of getting back to that, it kind of looks like both programs are going to be on their way up, and the opportunity to, kind of revive that matchup and see what we can accomplish will be pretty exciting. The rumor is that they're both going to be participating in the 2023 Empire Classic up in New York, no matter what. So if, they both match up there in 2023, and then that kind of, leapfrogs it into putting it into action, that could be, an awesome start to, kind of getting this series going. I think last I saw, it's going to be a home and home matchup, which will be huge. To get crowds traveling back and forth between the KFC Young Center and Assembly Hall. So overall, I'm excited for it. I can't wait. It's also going to be nice to give you that left shoulder, for you.
Nah, man, not happening. And go ahead, Josh.
I'm glad he mentioned the Empire Classic, because that is the rumored field. Those two, Indiana, Louisville, UConn, and was it Texas Tech? I think the other one.
Was it Texas Tech or Texas?
I think it might have been Texas.
Texas, you're right.
I think it's Texas.
I mean, that's a stout 4-team field. That's a stout 4-team field, and like you mentioned, rotating. Then after that you start the Louisville series, and those are historic. They're not necessarily rivals in the sense of like Kentucky, Indiana, Kentucky, Louisville, or whoever, but they're near enough and they're big enough programs. They're national rivals, if that makes any sense at all. Because you go back to the 80s, they won back-to-back titles twice. Louisville wins in 80, Indiana turns around and wins in 81. Louisville wins in 86, Indiana wins in 87.
Last one.
It's nice that, like I said, they're not like hated rivals, but they're national rivals, and they're so damn close in proximity that that's a game that needs to be played as well.
Yeah. I think to me, it feels like somewhat of a rivalry just because they're so close. And no offense, Goy, I hate your damn fan base so fucking much. But so it feels kind of like a rivalry. And the last time Louisville and Indiana played was 2018 in Assembly Hall in a hell of a back and forth game. Right after Kentucky got beat by Seton Hall in overtime, Louisville ended up taking the L. Indiana won. That's a game that Ryan McMahon played like fucking awful, played like dog shit that game, had a couple bad turnovers late that really gave IU a chance to pull out the victory. And at the time, that was one of Indiana's biggest wins so far, because Indiana was like 12-1, something like that. Louisville and Indiana were both pretty damn good, basically fighting for a chance to be ranked at that point. And Indiana came on top with that victory. So it was definitely a good win for them. But I definitely want to see it. If it's a series, home and home, neutral court, I don't give a damn. I just want to see the game played because it's close to home for both of us. Louisville's not too far away. Bloomington obviously is not that far away from where we live, Josh. So it's close to, it's both locations are close. So, and the fan bases are diehard college basketball fans. So I think it'd be good for the game. When Louisville and Indiana is good, when this surrounding area is good, Josh, I know you talked about this before, when Kentucky, Indiana, Louisville, when all of us are good at the exact same time, college basketball is so much better to watch.
And Corey, you know this in any sport, specifically our sport of college basketball. You just put those two names, and they've been down both programs here recently. But if it didn't matter, if they'd have played this last season and the year before that, it still would have been a big-time national game, because when you put Indiana and you put Louisville, those names on the front of the jersey sell tickets. But this comes at a perfect time because Mike Woodson in Indiana is starting to bring the ship back up to the elite level. They're trying to scratch and claw their way. And then Louisville's doing the same with Kenny Payne. This is a titanic and more importantly than anything, the right time to bring this rivalry back.
No, absolutely. It has, a lot of history coming back right now. No matter what, if it was, like you said, a couple years ago when, both programs were just kind of average to, hopefully here in the near future when, both programs are really on the rise. The history of, coaches being in charge to now the, guys that are coming in, the close proximity of only being 70 miles apart. Fan bases are going to really travel. Fan bases are going to get really behind people. It's going to really electrify college basketball here in the Midwest, in my opinion.
Yeah, and the thing I like about this game being scheduled, because it helps both programs a lot, because especially in the non-conference, because especially here in recent years, Louisville and Indiana, their non-conference schedule has not been the greatest. I mean, Louisville is guaranteed to play Kentucky every single year besides last year. We get the Big Ten ACC Challenge, but really we're starting to play teams like DePaul. No offense to them, but they're not really any good. We're playing teams against like Detroit mostly. Like, who wants to see those games? I want to see us play the top level talent like in Indiana, like a Memphis, which we're going to talk about here soon, like a Cincinnati. Games like that would be big, sell tickets, and really help both programs. And I think Indiana's in the same boat.
Well, and not only just selling tickets, but you think of recruiting wise. I mean, both schools recruit so much here in the Midwest, and try and get the talent from Indiana, Kentucky to stay home. And it's like, giving them that big time matchup, and being able to play close to home, being able to play on a national stage. All of that is going to have a huge TV presence. A lot of things are going to be working in their favors now. I mean, with Indiana adding the Arizona game, and then the Kansas game, and then if they potentially get Louisville on the schedule, and then if Calipari stops being scared, and comes back and plays Indiana again. Just had to take a dig at Josh. Josh. But right there, just keeps adding to talent and opportunity here in the Midwest to really get some electrifying games, especially with Louisville, Indiana right now.
We're going to talk about that when we do our next episode, Everything College Basketball this weekend, about more in depth on some of these things. But again, within the next 2-3 seasons is what the athletic director from Louisville had promised Mike Woodson, as Peyton had mentioned previously. Imagine if both these programs continue that rise back. If 2-3 years from now, if everything goes well for both, we're looking at a top 10, maybe a top 5 matchup, and that increases the profile even more and makes this game even more like the stakes are higher. You know what I'm saying? Like an early season clash of titans. That's great for college basketball.
Yeah, I definitely agree. And like, especially in recent years, like the recent matchups between Louisville and Indiana, I mean, some of it's been good games. The last one was a good game. Last 2 times Louisville has actually beat Indiana, there's been a blowout. Wasn't really fun to watch. But it's been a while since both teams have been really, really good. Top 25, both teams playing each other and have a good game. Because even last time we played them, 2018, both teams were good, but both teams were unranked. The couple years before that, when Louisville beat the shit out of Indiana, Louisville was unranked, so was Indiana. So it's been a while since both teams has been actually good and playing each other. And I think that's going to help as well. But
no, I completely agree.
Yeah, I think both programs kind of need this matchup. It's be a lot of fun to watch. Be a lot of fun to see Louisville beat the shit out of Indiana every single year. So moving on, though, let's talk about kind of another Louisville rivalry. Now I kind of mentioned it. Louisville versus Memphis. Penny Hardaway got a hold of Kenny Payne to potentially schedule this matchup for, I think, actually this upcoming year. That's an old Big East rival. That's an old Conference USA rival. That's an old American rival. They've been in our conference they've been in like 3 different conferences with us, except for the ACC conference. We've always had problems with each other. We've always been back and forth with each other, had phenomenal games.
Don't forget the old Metro Conference either. They used to be Metro Conference.
Yeah, that's right, too. So that's 4 conferences we've been a part. We've been kind of cohesive together, kind of, toe-to-toe with each other. But I think this is a game that Louisville fans will be excited to see. Penny Hardaway at Memphis has a lot of NBA type feel when his program. So does Kenny Payne with Louisville. So I think Louisville versus Memphis is a matchup. Me personally, I would love to see. I can't tell you the last time those 2 teams has faced off. It's been probably since maybe 7-8 years ago, maybe a little bit longer than that, because I can't think of the top of my head. But I would love to see a Penny Hardaway versus Coach Payne, Louisville versus Memphis matchup here again.
Yeah, I think that's great. And it ties again back into these old regional conference kind of rivalries. And this one is more so of a rivalry than Indiana.
100%.
Indiana was the national rivalry where they were competing for national titles, Final Fours. This was a rivalry. This was a heated rivalry. You mentioned the conferences. These two programs historically do not get along and mesh well at all. And it's a fun physical game. And if that's a home and home as well, that's a lot of fun. That's a lot of fun. And just as an outside fan of the spectrum of college basketball, that's another one I hope comes back. I think we've mentioned this on Everything College Basketball. And again, we will talk about this more in depth, but I want to see these top programs have loaded non-conferences. I know the SEC and the ACC and the Big Ten and all these are really tough. So you can't completely pull a Gonzaga and just have 10 great non-conference games.
No.
But I think these power historic schools should have at least 5 or 6 non-conference crazy type matchups every year. And I think this is another one that I personally would love to see come back. Louisville, Memphis, heat, rivalry, hatred almost. It'd be a lot of fun.
Yeah, kind of like last year when we seen Syracuse take on Georgetown. That's an old Big East hatred type of rivalry that we haven't seen in a while. And when those two teams locked horns last year, it was they both were unranked. They weren't really good, but it was one of the best games all season just because of the name value of both programs. Absolutely, the hatred evolved in both programs for so long, haven't played each other in a while. Same kind of with Kansas and Missouri, that was a blowout. So I definitely agree with you. I want to see even Louisville versus Cincinnati. We were supposed to play them last year. I'm not sure if we're going to try to reschedule that here this year within a couple of years, but that's another one of those old Big East Conference USA rivals that I would love to see Louisville try to schedule as well.
Corey, and I want to ask this to both of you. If you kind of notice the common theme here between Memphis and Louisville and Indiana, they're all led by former alums of that university, and they're all wanting to bring back these big time atmospheric games to all elevate the program back up to national status to where they used to be. We're talking about Louisville. This is a Louisville program. But you talked about Louisville. You already got the Kentucky game. That's a guaranteed every year. But you're talking about now adding Indiana home and home. You're talking about adding Memphis home and home, Cincinnati, maybe in the Big Ten ACC Challenge, rotating a big time opponent every year. And then maybe throw in one more that Mike Woodson just says, screw it. Maybe they add a UCLA, which would be a lot of fun and history there. The Indiana spectrum with Mike Woodson, he's won all the smoke, but that's how you make your program elite again. Whether you want to win those games, and of course you want to win those games. But if Indiana, for instance, goes into every year where they have, if they can bring Kentucky back and they've got Louisville and they, a big time of program like Kansas and the Big Ten ACC Challenge, where maybe they get UNC and Duke every other year. And then maybe they throw in another non-conference big time opponent, like you mentioned, Arizona or whoever. That's how you bring these programs back to the elite status that they should have always been at.
Yeah, no, 100%. I mean, you look at, a lot of fan bases are upset because of the very soft non-conference schedules. And it's like, these historic alumni players are coming back to coach, and, they were there during greatness and they were there to compete at these national stage levels. And, now they're trying to build things back to that. The way that you start to, get the top tier talent is playing in the national stage to set them up for, NBA futures or national stages where they're getting noticed. The only way you can do that is by playing the talent that's going to put them on the map. Scheduling these top tier games, you may struggle with it early on if it's Louisville, if it's Indiana, whoever it may be, as some of these programs trying to build back to, to what they were before. But the biggest thing is compete or coming out, maybe struggling through, but competing after a little bit and then finally starting to really compete and win those games and kind of building it back to that national stage as the champion stage.
We've seen, go to the NCAA tournament time point of view, with that they don't necessarily look at RPI and strength of schedule as much anymore since we have the net rankings over the last couple of years. But we have seen every year that the committee leans towards these programs that, especially in November and December, if you guys load up on your schedule and you can just steal one of these games, just one, especially if you can get 2 or 3 or even sweep this tough non-conference slate, you can have some room in the conference slate to falter a little bit and rest your laurels on that. And that's the difference in a tournament team and seeding as opposed to a bubble team or seed lines.
Yeah, you mentioned the alum coaches coming back and coaching their alma mater, and I think that's a great point because this also brings up something for me and why I love the fact that Louisville is potentially playing Indiana and Memphis and Cincinnati, and we're playing Oklahoma State next year in the Armed Forces Classic. I don't know if it's going to be in the Army base like Michigan State, North Carolina was, but we are playing in the Armed Forces Classic next year. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. Mike Boynton's a hell of a coach for Oklahoma State, so I think it's going to be a good matchup for us. However, I think the reason why the guys like Mike Woodson, Kenny Payne, Penny Hardaway are starting to schedule these big-time matchups again is because back when they were playing in these big-time matchups. They weren't playing no cupcakes. I'm sorry, but nobody wants to see Indiana beat the shit out of IUPUI or whoever. Nobody wants to see Louisville, as much as I like Bellarmine, beat the shit out of Bellarmine every year. Nobody wants to see that. Nobody even wants to see Kentucky beat Notre Dame. You know, they had it done in a couple of years, but nobody wants to see that. They want to see Kentucky versus Indiana. That's the matchup they want to see in their non-conference schedule. They don't give a damn if Kentucky plays Georgia Tech. Who gives a shit about that game? If Kentucky wins, just another game for Kentucky. It doesn't do anything for Kentucky. If they lose, sure, they might get made fun of here a little bit, but that'll get over, very, very quickly. The same goes for Indiana. The top programs should play top programs year in, year out, whether it's a tournament or if it's a non-conference game, whatever it is, I don't care what it is. Top programs should play top programs.
100% agree, Peyton. And I know that you're about to wrap things up and this is your show, but I do want to pose a question. I'm going to flip the script real quick and flip it to you and Corey, and then I'll give my answer. Let's just say Louisville, because we'll keep it Louisville-centric since it's a Louisville-based show. Ideally, say year in and year out, Louisville has, let's say Kenny Payne says, we're going to play 5 extremely tough non-conference opponents. And this is not taking into account tournaments or shootouts or anything. 5 yearly non-conference opponents. Ideally, if you were in charge of scheduling, who would Louisville's schedule look like on a yearly basis? Corey, I'll let you start first.
For Louisville?
Yeah.
Honestly, I think you got to get no matter what, you have to get Kentucky on there. I would love to see like you said, the Memphis series. I think Cincinnati would be a good series. Indiana, just because locally, and then what is that, 4? One last one. Just because, for regional games, I think Illinois would be fun to watch Louisville get in with. Brad Underwood versus Kenny Payne.
Yeah, Phil Dexter versus Peyton Burton. Let's go. I'm down. I'm down to fuck up both teams and claim the Assembly Hall. I'm down for it.
And a little bit of ECB.
Yeah, I get all
a little
ECB.
bit of ECB
I want all the
matchup.
smoke.
Get everybody in there.
Yeah, just
get everybody. Just load it all up. I don't care. That'd be fun. For me, though,
get everybody in there.
Yeah, for me, Kentucky, obviously number 1. Indiana, Memphis, Tennessee.
Ooh.
Let's go out west. Let's play Gonzaga.
Oh, that's a good one. I think we all have a common theme. I think for me, ideally Louisville, Kentucky, of course, that's a given. Indiana should be yearly. Memphis should be yearly. I love the idea of Cincinnati because they're so close. There's so many great historic programs in this region. And then I'm at a crossroads. So I'm just going to say every other year, or at least a combination of these, UCLA, West Virginia, lots of history with Louisville and West Virginia. And I'm going to stay in the state of Indiana. I think Louisville and Purdue would be a hell of a lot of fun.
Yeah.
I agree with that one. Purdue just.
Corey, who would you root for?
Oh, come on. Come on now.
100% Louisville.
I guess I should have gone. Come on now.
Yeah.
But,
trust me, I'm still going to talk crap. I'm still going to talk crap to Peyton, but I'm going to root for Louisville.
Yeah. Last time Purdue and Louisville faced, Purdue beat the fucking shit out of us in Mackey Arena. That was the David Padgett year, and those motherfuckers had signs in the crowd saying FBI and shit. So fuck Purdue fans. I agree with you, Corey. We can stay together like that. Fuck Purdue fans. So either how.
You know what's crazy is I almost put Purdue, but I was like, I think Illinois would be a fun matchup just to get Phil involved in this also. So.
Yeah. God help us if Louisville ran the table on us. We'd never hear the end on ECB.
The only thing we can hope is Louisville goes 0-3 and we can really talk crap.
No, I'm not showing up.
What would be great dramatic theater is if Louisville beat the shit of Indiana and Illinois, and just to see what happens if those two didn't want the sweep to happen, if they'd actually pull for Kentucky in that one. That would be great.
God. Yeah, because that would be the main event.
Yeah.
versus Kentucky. That would be the main event. And not to mention like the ACC Big Ten Challenge. Obviously, I'd like to play Michigan State in there. That'd be my number one option.
Real quick though, on that, the matchups haven't been announced yet. This season, who do you want to match up with? Knowing that this year you guys are going to be better than next, or last season, who do you want to match up with?
That's a good question. Last year we played Michigan State. I don't think Michigan State's going to be that good this year. So I don't really want to play them because I want to be a big-time matchup. Indiana, if we don't schedule that regular season game, maybe there, because that actually could be a lot of fun this year to watch, no matter if it's at Indiana, Silman Hall, if it's at the Yum Center. I like Corey's thing. Let's get Illinois.
There you go.
Illinois. Let me see Brennan Hunter and Hatfield just dominate fucking Illinois. Let's see him beat the shit out of Matthew Mayer, see how he likes it. But anyhow, we're gonna end the show now. Went a little bit longer than I probably expected, but that's what happened when you're having fun. So real quick, Josh, everything college basketball, go ahead and plug it. You know what to do.
Yeah, so we're heading we're obviously in the off season. We're heading into year number 5, which is absolutely mind-blowing. We've been around that long now. We come out weekly, basically from September until the end of college basketball season, and then we take a few weeks off. That's kind of what we've been doing, but we're about to get back into it for a huge Memorial Day trio show, starting with Peyton's show tonight, and then we'll have Phil's NBA draft show, and then we will conclude the Memorial Day weekend with the return of ECB, where we will talk more about scheduling. We're going to talk about the latest happenings of college basketball. We are the one-stop shop for all your college basketball needs and wants and desires. Breaking news, thoughts, articles, podcasts, everything in between. You can find us at Everything College Basketball, the Facebook group, and then on Twitter, we're at ECB Podcast 10, and then the podcast, which is well over 100 episodes, coming up on 110 episodes now. Just searching wherever you find podcasts, Everything College Basketball. Go shoot us a subscribe, give us a follow, leave us a 5-star review. The one-stop shop for all things college basketball.
Indeed. I'm glad you mentioned Phil Dexter, one of the members of Everything College Basketball podcast. He's been there for about a couple months now. He's been in the group for longer than that, but actually joined the show. It's been about a couple months now for him. He has his own podcast. He was going to join us for my podcast today. There's going to be a 4-man panel with myself, Josh, Corey, and Phil. However, there's some stuff that's happening close to home. Some stuff that I'm not going to talk about. Not really bad anything, but just it's not my place to talk about it. So hopefully he's okay, hopefully he's good, but he's good. I'll try to get him on the show eventually here soon. But go join or go listen to his NBA draft podcast, the Fast Risers podcast. He's had about 4 episodes now. I've listened to 3 of them. I need to finish his latest one he's recorded so far. Josh is actually going to join him for his next episode, I believe, talking about, I think, Ty Washington, maybe someone else. Not
Shaden
100%.
Sharp.
Yeah, Ty Washington and Shaden Sharp, talking about the 2 Kentucky guys, even though one of them didn't play for Kentucky. But so go listen to his podcast there. Obviously, everything college basketball. That's why I was born. That's where I came from. That's why I'll always be in my heart. Everything college basketball is the best, just like Inside the Yum is the best for Louisville coverage. And that's the end of the show. Hope you guys enjoyed. Give the podcast a 5-star review if you enjoyed this episode. If you're watching this on YouTube, like the video, share, subscribe, turn on post notifications, comment down below. Go like the Facebook page at Inside the Yum. Twitter is the same at Inside the Yum. With that being said, my name is Peyton, and I'll catch you guys next time. Go Cards.